Okay.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to this ELPAT podcast, one of the first of our series. This is the ethics and legal and psychosocial aspects of transplantation platform of the European Society of Organ Transplantation. I'm extremely excited today to have Christina Papachristou, who is the chair of ELPAT. I'm going to start off by really asking her about her interest in transplantation and then go on to what the group does and think about some of the future things we might be doing in the near future. So, Christina, welcome to the podcast. Would you tell us a bit about yourself and your interest in transplantation, your post, your background, that sort of thing?
Okay. Nice to see you, Joe. Thank you for this invitation. I am quite excited that your group also took this initiative to create this podcast series. I think it's a really, really nice way to promote the work of ELPAT. And I'm happy that I can share some of my thoughts with you about ELPAT and its work. Now, the question was, how did I find myself in this field? Because I'm a psychologist. Yeah.
Tell us about yourself.
My background is in psychology and public health. I'm also a psychotherapist. So it's not really the first thing that you have in mind when you start studying psychology or any of the things that I've done so far. But I think it was a pretty lucky coincidence for me that when I applied for a job in Berlin, because I used to live in Berlin for 23 years. I studied there and worked there after my first degree, which I did in Greece, in Thessaloniki. So when I applied for a job at the Department for Psychosomatic Medicine, the people there thought I have a good combination of skills, which is both psychology, public health, and qualitative research method skills that they wanted for a new project that they were starting regarding living donor liver transplantation. It was pretty new back then. It was 2001, so you can do the counting. They were starting this procedure, and my boss was the boss of the Department of Psychosomatic Medicine, but also the director of surgery. I think they were pretty innovative and creative people who had a quite broad and inclusive vision of everything. So they really wanted to include also this aspect in this new program of living liver donor transplantation and assess the donors psychologically, support them, and do a long-term follow-up of them. And that turned out to be my thesis as well, my PhD thesis. And that's how I came into it. And then one thing led to the next. And I got busy also with evaluations of recipients, all kinds of transplantations, and so on. And the nice thing in this field, which was very challenging in the first place, and I had really no clue about, was that it's so diverse and so multidisciplinary. And that was something that I believe fits well also to my character and interest. And that's how everything developed. And one thing led to the next. I found myself in ELPAT Congress, in the first ELPAT Congress. There I presented a study. I got to know the rest of the people who initiated ELPAT. And I became part of a working group, as you are right now. At some point, I became a chair of a working group, and at some point, vice chair of ELPAT. Now I'm the chair of ELPAT. So that's the way.
You've done your time, that's for sure. But I think one of the things you highlighted there is really good, that ELPAT reflects, I think, the field of transplant medicine, and that it really is truly multidisciplinary. It really is. And I think it's one of the groups I've been involved with that's probably one of the greatest things about it. It has so many diverse people with interests that kind of coalesce together to try and look at these areas that, I guess, for many people in medicine, things like ethics and the legal aspects and even psychosocial aspects, they don't quite see them as core, do they? But they're so important. And I think that, it's really good in transplant that ESOT has this group that can look at those aspects. But so your initial interest, of course, in the living donor and how they do, what's it been like following people up over so many years? That must be really almost novel because you were involved with people at the very outset. What's it been like following people up after living donor transplant?
You mean the donors or the recipients? The donors. Okay. I think the most exciting part was actually the pre-donation, I must say, because it was really quite new. Also, the legal framework or context had to change because, of these new procedures in a way. So it was like a new land. There was experience with living kidney donors, but living liver donation is obviously something completely different because it involves a much higher risk. It takes place under a lot of pressure and there is no alternative. That means this situation triggers any type of dynamics that are already there in anyone, in a family, within someone, and so on. So you have to talk with people and assess their motivation, their decision-making capacities, their psychosocial resources, their psychopathology, if there is any, and try to create like a picture that is in dialogue with them, that it's, let's say, stable enough and coherent enough for them so that they go and take this leap. Because I think that's the most important thing, that you have to go into this decision through a very a conscious and process and a coherent set of mind so that you can be able to deal with anything that comes afterwards. Doing the follow-up was also very interesting. It was mostly also very exciting in the sense that most of the recipients had pretty good results. So it's really wonderful to see also the joy and the satisfaction in the living liver donors. But you also have these cases where you do sense a sense of regret or something that could have been done in a better way in the end. And I think it was also a period in which we learned a lot about how to select donors and support donors, most of all, in this process, so that we do have a good outcome psychologically as well.
Very interesting. Yeah, I mean, the psychological aspects of living donation, are just astonishing, I think. I've never been involved with it, so I just sit back in awe of people who assess that and think about the complexity. So moving on, for anyone interested, ELPAT is well described on the ESOT website, and there's a lot you can read there about the group. But would you mind telling us, as vice chair and then chair, what ELPAT does, what its aims are, and how you manage to lead so well a group of diverse individuals like me?
Okay. Well, as you said, and I think it's important to say that we do have a pretty nice webpage. We are a section of ESOT. So on the ESOT website, you can find also the website of ELPAT. And there is a description there of what ELPAT is, what it strives, what are the working groups of ELPAT and any achievements of ELPAT as well. ELPAT is a group of people, basically. It's a European platform that brings professionals from with different backgrounds and from different disciplines and scientific fields. And they all have one thing in common, that their work, or at least part of their work, has to do with the field of organ donation and transplantation. So you could consider that a network that carries valuable expertise and very diverse expertise regarding any ethical, legal, or psychosocial question that is related to organ donation and transplantation. So ELPAT has several subgroups, as you also know.
Yeah.
And for example, the pediatric donation, the psychological care, the public issues, the ethical issues, and organ traffic, trade and trafficking, and so on.
Mm.
And each working group has 8 to 9 core members. And these core members, in order to become a member of a working group, you have to apply, basically.
Yeah.
Every now and then there is a call for nominations for individuals that are interested to join these groups. And each group set a set of targets or tasks they want to work on during a specific period of time. And they have a unique chance, I think, to connect, to exchange ideas, opinions, and to work together towards a common aim. This could be a protocol, this could be a research protocol, this could be a statement, this could be a bigger research, or the development of a research proposal, or a podcast series as you are doing right now. I think the unique thing in this, apart from the multidisciplinarity and being able to do this also under the biggest context or under the auspices of ethos, is really a unique chance. And I will say that because transplantation or the experts, the professionals that are working in this field are not so many. That means in specific countries, especially that are pretty small, you can hardly find any colleagues with whom you can also exchange opinions, ideas, or work together. So it's extremely important also for the individual work, I think, to be able to have a platform in where you can connect, create knowledge, and promote also the aim of ELPAT.
Good. And I guess that whilst ESOT, of course, is a European organization, we do interface and occasionally have members from further afield. So for anyone interested, we would just encourage you to make contact, look at the website, contact one of the section chairs, or indeed Christina or Frederica as the chairs of ELPAT itself. So very, very encouraging for people to come and work with the groups. Even for those who aren't actually members of the groups, there's the opportunity to become an associate member and join in with these projects in various fields of organ donation. So one exciting thing happening quite soon, there was a bit of a pandemic recently. I placed the podcast in time, but obviously that's been difficult for many organizations such as the SOT and ELPAT, with great disruption caused. But excitingly, we have our first ELPAT conference, which is coming up since COVID. So 5 minutes of free unrestricted advertising for both of us, Christina, to talk about that. Would you like to have a little first go at why people should think about coming to the ELPAT conference and what will be happening there?
Okay.
Big question, I know.
Yeah, thank you for giving the space for me to do also some advertisement. I think also you used a very strong but also a very important word, disruption. And I think COVID really was a disruptive factor on many, many levels. Also regarding the network of ELPAT, actually also procedures, all the clinics that were performing donations, transplantations also suffered through this period. So we did need some time to recover from this, I think, and that doesn't apply only to ELPAT, I suppose, but like to many other groups and associations worldwide. And yeah, we are very happy that we are able to announce the 6th ELPAT Congress, and a Congress on the ethical, legal, and psychosocial aspects of organ transplantation. This will take place in a beautiful place, that's Seville in Spain, between the 9th and 12th of October 2025. And every time, of course, the ELPAT Congress tries to set a specific focus that is always related also to the current development and needs in a broader aspect. And this time, the theme of the Congress is new technologies and evolving humanities. And I think that says a lot also about the way we think and about the way we perceive ELPAT's role. I could describe ELPAT's role maybe as the consciousness of ethos.
Yeah,
in a
nice
way.
term. Yeah, good.
Yeah, because this is the hub or the place where professionals from different disciplines have the opportunity to reflect on things that are happening in the field of organ donation and transplantation, and this also in a broader economic and economic context, including all kinds of social and technological developments as well. So why should someone come to Seville? I think this is the only Congress worldwide that has this focus. There is nothing else that is similar.
It's unique.
It's a unique opportunity to meet professionals from different disciplines that have expertise and are doing also research and have clinical experience in the field of organ donation and transplantation from different aspects. We have lawyers, anthropologists, ethicists, clinicians, mental health professionals, anything, basically any discipline you can imagine. And we all come together and we have created, I think, very interesting sessions, workshop and plenary talks around a lot of subjects. Some of them are, for example, xenotransplantation or other emerging technologies and transplantation. We have sessions on organ trade and trafficking, and also on living liver donation, and how all these areas of organ donation transplantation actually also relate to newer developments in this field. So it's not just the traditional sessions on specific, themes, but we try to find a way to interconnect these themes following this red thread of new technologies and evolving humanities. And how can we, as professionals, all type of professionals, adjust and deal with all these developments? Because in the end, it comes down to people. It comes down to medical professionals, to living donors, and to recipients that are the stakeholders in this field. You can say it like this. So you're all welcome to join, to submit abstracts. We will have also a very interesting new format that we call a large group discussion experiment, in which we will try to give space for any participant to join and have an open dialogue regarding all the things that go through our minds and occupy us.
I think that there's a real feel this is going to be an innovative and dynamic conference. But what you said, I think really important, that our feedback from the previous ELPAT conferences is that for transplant professionals, this kind of the idea of a conscience of transplant and that idea to interface with people who maybe in the day-to-day running of a transplant program, lawyers and academic ethicists and others might not get that interface with transplant professionals. And it worked beautifully previously. And I'm sure it's going to work that well again, to have that interface between people who are actually doing transplant and those who are thinking about it, the complex issues. And as you say, you've touched on a couple of things, but the complex questions that are coming from transplant, not just xenotransplantation, the use of AI, the huge global changes we're seeing in politics and how the world works at the moment. Even funding compared to, funding for health is likely to drop as military funding goes up across Europe and maybe further afield. These are all going to have big meta issues for transplants and transplant programs. And how that interfaces with the conscience aspects is very, very important. The development of, machine perfusion, those sorts of things, thinking about the use of stuff in DCD and end of life care. And
Exactly.
so rich in our kind of areas here. So, I think it's going to be a fabulous conference. I actually don't know when this podcast is going out, but hopefully if it goes out before the 19th of May, that's the day that abstract submissions close. And the meeting itself, as you said, is going to be in Sevilla in Spain, Thursday, October the 9th to Sunday, October the 12th. And the program is available on the ESOT website. Christina, I know it's taken a lot of your time.
No, let me add something, because you mentioned something that I think it's really important. The nice and the beautiful thing about the ELPAT congresses is also that we do have a lot of transplant professionals that are joining this congress.
Yeah.
And so it's nothing where you have social sciences and humanities being just among each other, but you also have people that are actually working hands-on in the field. And I think that's also something that characterizes transplant professionals of any kind, be it surgeons, nurses, or I don't know, hepatologists and so on, that there is a sense of being open-minded and of being interested in the complexities of something. And I think that's something that people also enjoy in this type of congresses. And I would like also to add, you mentioned the organ donation after euthanasia. That's as well a very important focus during the Congress, but also other aspects. For example, like what is the role of, or what is the future of the next generation of transplant surgeons? Because we know that this is also an extremely important field, that there are some... So all of these things will be covered during the Congress.
Very good. I'm getting excited about it already. Christina Papachristou, thank you very much for your time on the podcast this morning. Most of the things we've talked about for the future of transplantation will be coming up in future podcasts in this series. So thank you very much. My name is Joe Brierley, and we'll see you next time. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Joe.
Bye.
Bye.